Please turn to page 80 for beginner level writing. This is a small group in which the teacher will meet with 6 to 10 students. Notice the number of students is smaller than at the pre-emergent or emergent level. And the reason for this is the teacher is actually teaching the students how to plan their own stories or information. That means each individual student will be writing their own piece. This requires that every student can write at least one sentence independently. They have to have that skill down, which they learned at the emergent level. Let's look at a sample of writing. Now, below here, you'll notice and see the staples because we only have page 1 and 2, and this was probably a 5-page story. Below here, we have a sample of a student's beginner writer story. Notice that they have several sentences on the first page and a couple of sentences on the second page. If I were looking at published pieces or finished pieces of writing for different students at these tables, some students may just have one sentence per page. Some may have several sentences. It really doesn't matter. You can have that range of ability because they need to just be able to independently write at least a sentence. And then you're working on their planning. They can have simple stories or more sophisticated stories as you're working with each student independently. Notice now, on these stories, what's going to happen is the students will plan. And that means that you're going to walk through specific steps to help them plan their stories or information. Now, when they're planning on page 1 of their story, so the first page of their story or information, what's going to happen is they're going to, if it's a narrative, have a story opening. If it's expository, it will be a topic sentence. The second page, if it's a story, will be events or actions that the character will be going through in the story. So each page after the first page of a narrative are just actions until the story's done. Each page for information will be details. So you'll have pages of details about the topic sentence if it's information. That's how this is set up. But the students will plan each page and then, using the steps, and then they will write on that page. They're not planning their whole piece and writing. They're only planning each part, then they write. Plan the next part, then write. That's critical. It's very difficult for students to jump into planning an entire story on an organizer and then going and writing. This is the bridge before they ever hit a complete organizer, and that's the beginner level. The beginner level is going to focus again on narrative writing or informational, explanatory writing. Narrative writing will have a story opening, and then actions. You will notice in our writing that I will have for the actions, the kids will be able to decide if the character will do, that will be our arrow, say, that will be a little dialogue box, or think, that will be a thinking bubble. A narrative then has a story opening, actions, where the character will do, say, or think. We will not be adding quotation marks at this point. They'll just learn these different types of actions, dialogue, or thoughts in their writing, but they won't learn those mechanics yet. If you look at the informational explanatory, if it's informational writing, that means we're going to have a topic sentence and details, but the details will be organized in categories. If it's explanatory, you will have a topic sentence with details, but those details will have to be sequenced. So In the informational explanatory writing, there's basically two ways to organize the details. After you have your topic sentence, then you're going to organize your details in categories or in a sequence. We will walk through the steps of narrative writing, informational writing, and explanatory writing in this section. For each one of these lessons, the narrative, informational, and explanatory, I will have tools. At the beginning of each one of these lessons, before I show you the steps, I'll show you the tools. Then I'll give you a little chant that you can teach the children so they understand what they're going to learn. And after that, we'll actually walk through the steps. So let's go through and find out how to help students write beginner level narratives, beginner level informational writing, or beginner level explanatory writing.